So here we are today, we're here at the Ulster Transport Museum. Now there's a whole world of railway exhibits here, many of which haven't been done as models before, either in kit form or as anything else. So I think we should go that way and find something to interest you all. My name's Paul Isles and I work for Irish Railway Models, and this is our new announcement. There are so many subjects here, so many items of interest, so many things that will make great models. We've got all colours here, all ages, all sizes. And it's what would be the best example to bring you as a new announcement? Do we go with something old? Do we go with something big? Do we go with something small? I think we should go with something green. Three foot, really interesting, but red. Now that's green. Belfast and County Down Railway. Now there's a railway that's got a history of locomotives that are worth modelling, but it's not that one. Now County Donegal rail buses, really nice. I like these, but not this time. Now that's a nice colour. And I do like that. This is an old friend, but we've been here and done that. But it does give you an idea of what we could do. Now, Peckets. I have a thing about Peckets. I like Peckets. They're a nice engine. Everyone knows I like working on Peckett projects. They're cute, they're green, they're steam. They're pretty engines. They're definitely narrow gauge in this case. But a setting like this, is it really big enough for what we want to do? Is it iconic enough for what we want to do? I don't think so. I think we'll leave this one for later. But what we will do is go over here and have a look at Ireland's largest ever steam locomotive. Maeve. Inchicore's Class B1A 460 locomotive. Built in 1939, one of a class of three. And this is iconic. Everything about this class of locomotive is large. Now obviously we're on Irish loading gauge of 5'3", which just brings the whole frame out, and it gives the 800 class a presence that is the driving force behind the model. The model's got to have presence as well. But in amongst that, there's some really nice refined points. We've got this large, powerful locomotive, which is fantastic. We've got these very delicate buffers, somewhat at odds with the rest of the locomotive, but add an air of refinement. We're quite lucky in that the class stayed fairly standard. Most of what differentiated the class comes at the front end. So the smoke boxes, the smoke box doors, there's several variations of this. You've got double rivets, single rivets, you've got different arrangements of handrails, some really interesting ones. And of course, running on the Enterprise, we've got room to fit the headboards, and we'll include headboard fittings as part of the accessory bag. We come around the front, again, defined rivet detail everywhere. We've got handrails that are offset on one side to the other, which give it a slightly wonky appearance when you view it from in front. But it's one of those little things that you've got to pay attention to when you're creating a model. Now, as we go round here and down the side, it becomes ever more apparent. The running plate, again, the smoke box, and up there you'll see it's fitted with a double chimney. Now, the class had single and double chimneys, so that needs to be incorporated. So this area is where we're going to do our changes between the three locomotives in the class. So we come down here, the valve gear is a defining feature, and it's taken a lot of replication and a lot of intensive work by the factory to make this all mesh together so that we've got a sample that looks good and has the same feel. Driving wheels, well, they've got their usual flare out to the spokes, which we need to carry over and which we have carried over. We've done that several times successfully now. Come down, reversing lever, a nice separate detail that's fitted. Carry on down, washout plugs, fortunately standard throughout the life of the locomotive. Cab, again, plenty of rivet detail, and we've got lots of variations in line here. The little step up that's added here. The cab itself comes round, that's got to be replicated, sliding windows. The flare out on the top of the roof. When we come to the tender, there's lots of little details here. The way at the front, it matches the loco, then brings itself in and round. We've replicated that. Again, lots of rivet detail. As we come here, it's covered in rivets, and they add a nice texture. We've got the eyes for the communication cords, got the lovely cutouts on the tender and the fuel tank, the vacuum tanks. And this all needs detailing, needs bringing, needs to add weight here as well. The flow of the tank, the angle of the tank. Come down the back to the tender rear. Again, we've got plenty of detail here. More plates. Obviously, each tender carried its own plate. We've got these delicate buffers coming in again. The steps, which stay constant. The shape as it works out, and we're making best use of the loading gauge here. Come through odd patches that we'll replicate where necessary. As we come down here, we climb the platform here of the display, we see how we're coming back in, and the cab detail is where we've had to work really hard. The cabs on this class are spacious. They're fantastic. The detail in there is huge. We've, again, had to work really hard to replicate that, even get close to replicating it. All the gauges, all the levers, they're all included, and hopefully we've done it justice. The full plate between the two, well, that's made as a separate metal part so that it can be posed in any way, shape or form you like. Come down. Across the class, we've got these lovely cast nameplates with number plates. They'll be featured as separate parts, so there's separate metal etch parts in the bag so that you'll be able to add them on. Handrails, again, as they come through, all separate parts, all added in. And the bell pair firebox is one of the hardest items to replicate whenever you're making a model of this. And it's taken several goes to get the right angle as it joins the boiler and the curvature to the top of the bell pair and get that characteristic hump into it. The nameplates are a big part of these locomotives. They reflect the Celtic queens and personalities of the period. And these have been done as separate details. And I'll come on to the nameplates a little bit later as well. The injectors, all these parts have been moulded into a die-cast chassis. And the boiler's die-cast as well, so we've got plenty of weight to the model. You'll be able to haul whatever you want behind this because this is a machine. We bring ourselves, as we back up here, we're back to the smoke box again. Inside the front of the smoke box, on the model, we've got a small sugar cube speaker. The main speaker is up there in the tender. The whole idea is that we get the deep bass beat of the locomotive coming from the rear-mounted speaker, and we get the exhaust notes coming through from the sugar cube that's mounted in there. Motor-wise, obviously we've got the weight, so we've got a flywheel-fitted 5-pole motor in there. That works with a gearbox that is set to run at scale speeds and to give you the haulage that you're going to need of sending these models round your layouts. All in all, this is a beautiful project to work on. It's a beautiful prototype, and I'd like to think the model conveys the majesty and the presence of this particular engine and of her sisters. It's been a good one to work on.